Welcome to the Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. On this week's show, we are going to preview the Who's Number 1 29 card headlined by... Ooh, Josh, I messed with headlined by...
Adele and Vagner, Rocha.
As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, your co-host.
Josh.
Man, I have not bobbled an intro in a while. Good to have you here, Josh.
That's why I should be doing it.
Next week,
I've got such a voice for it.
Maybe you should do the intros after 8 years. Let's change it up, Josh.
I was thinking, actually, of just immediately when you hit the space bar to go.
Just cutting me off.
Just to say, welcome to the Grappling Rewind Podcast. But I didn't.
Well, you have that in the beginning already. So, moving on from the 30 minutes of pre-show where we had this discussion. Who's Number 1 29 is coming up this weekend. BJJ Stars GP is happening as well. We previewed that on last week's show. We talked about all the members of the GP. Corey and I were here. We went through all of the standings, basically who everyone was on that card. So we're basically not going to touch that card at all. We are just doing the Who's Number 1 Vagner Rocha versus Kit Dale preview tonight. And then maybe, I think either, not next week because we'll do the recap of this event. That and BJJ Stars will probably combine at least some of the matches because it'll be a big recap show. The following week, we might do a run-through of all of the CJI 2 names because there's some big news coming out right now for CJI, which is not really big news. Helena Crevar was announced for the $100,000 women's bracket. She also this week was announced for a one championship slot for the women's division, but that potentially is the second women's division because Crevar is not making the weight that Maisa Bastos makes.
No.
And historically, it was near Kelly, Maisa Bastos, like women in that 120 or so weight category for one championship. And Crevar is about 35, 45. So I'm curious if they're going to open up another division for Crevar. She's going to do super fight. We're not sure. But we're getting into a land of exclusive contracts for grappling with like UFC BJJ and allegedly Who's Number 1 here and there. Like there's more and more exclusive contracts with ONE FC. I hope that we're still going to see Helena Crevar on CJI in that 4-woman bracket for the 100,000 because historically, one championship has allowed certain athletes on the roster, notably Cade Rotolo and Ty Rotolo, to go compete at CGI. They did it last year, and one even...
And at ADCC, right? Were they still on... They were under contract during that as well, yeah?
It was after. It was after Cade won that he got the contract.
Oh, okay.
Because it was a 2-year, so yeah. I could run... I'm pretty sure that was after, so we didn't know if they could do CGI, and then it got announced. And one championship even did some, like, promotion of them, through the one championship... like pages and stuff like, hey, Ty's going to be there. And it was a cool Cade and Ty are going to be on this thing as well. And it was a cool kind of cross promotion. So it looks like one championship has a good relationship with CGI and Craig. I'm hopeful that we're not going to see Crevar have to drop out of CJI because she's under contract now for one. That's my hope.
Who's she going to compete against at one? She's going to have her own division like Mikey. Yeah. Where it's like, we're just going to throw people at you and you're going to beat them up. And that's that.
Yeah.
Are they going to get some of their like MMA fighters that I don't think they even have like a deep roster of 35 and 45 MMA fighters
for women.
Women.
Do not believe so. No, but who knows? It's news. It was announced. I hope that it doesn't impact the event that I'm going out to Vegas for with the rest half of the team for Grappling Rewind. Regardless, it was big news this week. In other big news, huge news this week, Craig Jones announced that he was leaving B Team, and it doesn't seem like a joke. It seems like he's really leaving, which we looked at it and we kind of internally kind of guessed at in the chat why that was, but he really doesn't seem like he's been at B Team for about the last year. He's been traveling. He's really been engaged in other endeavors since CGI, even before CGI won. Like, he's really been out kind of doing his own thing and not really at the gym. He's not really competing anymore. He's sort of just out having a good time and enjoying being a champion, like a very notable guy and a fun guy to be around in the sport. He dropped into Baltimore last week, but like the day after the show recorded. You got to see him, actually. You took a picture with him and talked with him for a little bit. And then, like, that night, he announced that he was leaving B Team.
Yeah, like that episode of the road trip thing with the pink Cadillac. And him saying, like, everybody else, like Nicky Ryan's like the head coach, and you've got all the other people there, and there's going to be like a name change and things like that. And that's cool. Like, do what you want to do. He's done so much. Like,
Yeah.
he can survive off of being
Craig Jones.
Off
Of being like a notable guy that at seminars people are happy to see, and like he is one of the few guys in jiu-jitsu that really retired essentially like a couple of years ago. He had a match with Gabby Garcia, but before then wasn't competing with a great degree of frequency.
He's got Gable Stevenson coming up.
He does have, I forgot about that match coming up, but like again, doesn't compete with a great degree of frequency. Still, people are clamoring to like go to his seminars, go to his events. Like, he seems to be a fun guy to be around that people want to be in the room with and want to like learn from still.
We talked about it today, like right after training, where he's just like a normal dude. He's just like a guy. He's self-deprecating. He's not corny. We were just talking about how people like hype up fights and like try to do all these things, and like they go the MMA route essentially, and they
You're like a
talk
pro
all this
wrestling
game.
route.
Yeah, or pro wrestling. He's just like, this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna make fun of myself and the people around me and just about everybody else, all in good fun. And yeah,
So
he was super nice, and like, Gordon can say whatever, but like, he was nothing but nice. And I'm not pretending that I know the guy and I hang out with him all the time. And I'm like, oh no, really behind the curtains, he's an asshole. I don't know. But the interactions that I had with him and the interactions that people were having with him at the gym at the time, you know, he was just smiles and very appreciative and super nice, and good for him. And he's doing his own thing. Why not?
yeah. So again, it'll be interesting to kind of see the rebranding of B Team. Somebody on the internet was like, the funniest thing they could ever do is like they rename it Newest Wave, which
I
would
did
be
see
which
that
would be
as
the
well.
funniest troll
Yes.
ever. But if Craig's not there, like, I think that the need to want to troll is probably a little diminished. Like, Craig seems to be the mastermind troll guy. It would be pretty funny. It would be really complicated for us to cover. Like, no, not Newest Wave. Okay, these guys. Okay.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, he is, in the best sense of the term, an evil genius. Like, not like, oh, terrible, doing terrible thing. He just comes up with schemes that
Nifty
are
stuff to do.
amazing.
So that was the big news this week. Josh, I don't think there's any other news on this, really.
No.
We don't have a whole lot other than like he's leaving, the team is rebranding, and it makes sense given that he's not really at the team. My kind of harebrained idea that I put out there was, I was really curious, given B Team has such a strong team, the optics of the team that Craig runs and owns winning his $1 million tournament might not be the best. And so it's like, hey man, we're already running this. We have a really strong team. We have Victor Hugo, Nick Rodriguez. We have Declan. We have a lot. Not Declan's on Giles. Sorry.
Victor Hugo?
Yeah, Victor Hugo and Nicky. He's their swing guy.
Oh, on the team.
Yeah,
on the
on
team.
B
I was
team.
like, wait, hold on. Did I miss something to where he left?
No.
Okay.
No. So it's like their team is so strong. My thought was like, yeah, you're not there. You know, you're kind of sunsetting that part of your career. The team rebrands as B Team, and you are now Craig Jones, the promoter running your event, not really affiliated with your old gym anymore. They happen to have a team that is probably going to do really well, potentially win. It would, optic wise, you really can't call into question now.
Oh, I mean, if you want to talk about news, I don't know if it's, hey, bring up the team list. There was some rumor going around. Go up to New Wave or Kingsway.
Kingsway.
Okay, inter squad trials winner. People were speculating online that the 77 kilogram spot is going to go to J-Rod. People were like, he's going to go there.
That would be really interesting for a lot of reasons. Some are public, some are not public. It would be really interesting for a lot of reasons. He is that 77 cut for him would be maybe doing it. Yeah, he could do that now.
Here, oh yeah, let's bump Bodoni so this guy can have
Yeah.
the 88. Nah, like if he's gonna be on it, he'll be at 77.
It would be an interesting wrinkle. So again, we'll cover more on that in 2 weeks, but that's the news for this week. Let's go into the previews, Josh, unless you have anything else before we go into previews. Who's number 1? 29, headlined by Kit Dale and Vagner Rocha, co-main evented, honestly, by a match that I'm kind of, actually, there's 3 matches on this that are super interesting. Adele Fornarino versus Jasmine Rocha, the rematch from ADCC 2022. And we have Roberto Jimenez versus Ryan Aiken, which is just going to be an oddly, really, really compelling matchup that I think 2 years ago wouldn't have been as interesting. Now with where Roberto is,
Where
with
both
Roberto
of them?
is, yeah, we're both of them are with the PGF and stuff like that. I'm really
name is
excited. I know I bobbled it and then went
Roberto.
as a joke, and then you didn't catch the joke part of that.
That wasn't a joke.
Let's talk about the main event matchup, which is Kit Dale versus Vagner Rocha. You brought something up at the gym when we were talking about this. I was like, look, this is not Wagner's to lose, but like in my understanding of Vagner Rocha's game and where Kit Dale's game is at, Vagner should beat Kit Dale.
And you know who else should have beat Kit Dale? Xande Ribeiro. That didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Kit Dale has been on a weird resurgence, unlike really anything we've ever seen. Like,
What a victory last time out. I like that this is brought up because last time we previewed it, we were like, Shanji's going to fucking walk all over him.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen.
No.
You know, and it's like, here we are eating crow. And it's like, now it's kind of hard to pick against Kit Dale after that performance.
And also, you brought up Wagner's condition.
Yeah. Wagner's heart thing, is that like clear? Is he good?
Yeah,
was
Wagner
it just
was in
like
the
a
hospital.
one-off thing?
He was in the hospital in like critical condition a month ago.
I don't know if it was a month ago.
Within a couple of months.
Probably. Here we are doing terrible research and just assuming things. Yeah, I love how like Vagner Rocha health popped up almost immediately. But either way, like this is now like a really compelling match. Like, are we going to have the Vagner that is just dragging on Kit Dale and just like all over him and just doing Vagner shit? Like,
are we going to get a Vagner where the referee has to step in a couple times like, hey Vagner, you can't
punch him in the head.
You can't do that. Or are we going to get a Vagner that plays like a little more passive, a little slower? Like, we kind of don't know as much where Wagner's at since like the health scare. Again, has that affected him? Has that not affected him? Again, I assume you're not going to take this matchup if you're not in like pretty good health,
for sure.
Especially not main event. You're not going to have a bad performance that's going to kind of take away from your stock, especially with Kit Dale's recent victory over Xande Ribeiro, which is a weird one. So when I think about the dynamics of this matchup, like what does Kit Dale do really well? Like, he is a very good passer, very good half guard passer. Vagner is also a really good guard player, but primarily when I think about Vagner sort of like wrestling up and his ability and
Heart failure
yeah.
at the beginning of the year.
Okay, so 6 months ago.
But still, like,
this would be his first match back since that.
yeah, and there's that concern of like, is it an issue? I guess not, since he's taking the match.
So this is a tale again of like two very different. Like, Kit Dale has had good success, like 2017. He had good wins, he had first place at trials in 2017. He beat Tommy Langacker at ADCC. Then he kind of retires, and we don't see Kit Dale for about the last 10 years. I think prior to the Giles trials, prior to the Xande match, I think we talked about like one of his matches versus like Craig Jones at like a Grappling Industries for like a thing in Australia. Like, it's we haven't talked much about Kit Dale in the last 10 years.
Was he trying to do like
He was acting. He was acting. He was in Hollywood. He was trying to become an actor. He was doing acting in Hollywood. And then suddenly he comes back and we're like, okay, Kit Dale's been 10 years. And then he shows up and you're like, oh, you won the entirety of that Giles Trials feeder event and then held your own in the round robin of the guys that are going to get the spot. Didn't win because he didn't have a submission-oriented style for that event, but like did better than any of us imagined. And again, it's Lachlan and Craig always speak really highly of Kit Dale's ability to just like be frustratingly good at anything. Like you show him, he gets it. He's just a frustratingly talented guy, and now he has a lot of veteran experience.
And then he comes into this match off of
the biggest
awesome
win of his
victory.
career. The biggest win of his career. I think Xande is the biggest win of most people's career.
Yeah,
you
a
can
lot
ever
of people
beat
can't
Xande.
say like, oh, here's this.
Yeah, you beating Xande is a short list for guys. Now again, a different point of Sanji's career, off of retirement, coming back, but still, you beat Xande, and it was a weird match for Xande. I kind of don't want to underscore that too much, but it was one of those matches we looked back for analysis and kind of went, Kit Dale kind of just stifled what Xande wanted to do, and Xande just never opened up his game past a certain level, and Kit just beat him in the wrestling. I am curious if you think Kit Dale will be able to out-wrestle Vagner.
After that, who knows? Like
That's sort of the wrench that this all
here's
throws
the
in.
thing: you're at Pedagos, so you're wrestling more than likely with Pixley. Constantly,
Yep.
and all the other like people that are in there, like you've got that whole team of guys, and you've got a lot of really good wrestlers on that team.
But then Wagner's at Fight Sports.
I'm not.
And Vagner hosts martial arts.
Yeah. I'm not downplaying that. But maybe it's on par.
There's going to be a level of wrestling parity probably that I wouldn't expect given how Kit looked versus Xande. Given how Kit looked in the Josh trials, it was like, oh, this is now you're much more of a live dog in this matchup than I would have picked 3 months ago. I don't think in this rule set for who's number one, that 15-minute with the judges favoring, which doesn't really matter, but it kind of matters. And like overall, I think Vagner in this rule set is going to know that he's going to have seen the Kit Dale match. The Xande Ribeiro match that Kit Dale had, and know, cool, Kit Dale can absolutely do that to me if I let him. And Vagner is a pretty good tactician. Like, you don't win bronze at ADCC 2022, silver ADCC 2019, bronze ADCC 2017. Like, only dude in the last 3 ADCCs, missing, the breakdown we have here is missing, yes, 2024 silver medalists as well. The only dude to medal in the last 4 ADCCs. Only dude to do it. Vagner Rocha. Doesn't win, but he's medaling, and he's medaled the last 8 years. Not 8, yeah, like more than like 8 years.
But that's the other thing too. You have a wealth of video to also study. Like
exactly what Vagner is going to do. And now
idiosyncrasies.
And now Kit Dale is with Pedigo. Pedigo, and Heath Pedigo, is known for doing his research on the guys that his guys are facing. He's a good student of, like, he does tape study.
They're going to have a really good match. I do it all the time. I'm like, I don't want to pick. Like, I do not want to pick. I just want to watch this match, and I hope it's just like two forces just slamming into each other, just going.
I think that this is going to be a slower match where Kit Dale tries to kind of get a hold of Vagner, and Vagner plays on the outside and then will work in bursts. In bursts of activity, and then try to get something good. And then he will have a moment where he can make something work. But I think if that doesn't happen, the opposite happens for Kit. Exactly what we saw in the Xande match, where it's like there's kind of close, and then Kit starts to kind of take away with the match. I think that's very possible here, but Vagner has not had very many matches that have ever kind of gone that way.
Yeah, but he's either in the lead or he's not. And that's the thing. Like, I can't think of a match other than the Gordon Ryan match where he was just like completely dominated. Like, there was nothing. Even
in the Penna match, like, it was like Vagner had some moments, and it was not the best match, but it was also Penna knew how to control Vagner. It was much bigger than Vagner and knew how to impose on Vagner. Like, Wagner's a tough dude, but again, he's also 43 now, having had the heart condition. Like, does he have the gas? Wagner was never the most, in his later career, in the last like 6 or 8 years, has never been the most like fervorous with his pacing. He's just always had that the veteran, the thing that Buchecha always had, when push comes to shove at the end, I'm just going to be exactly where I need to be to get it done.
I don't agree with that
at
all. What Buchecha are you talking about?
When Buchecha would have like a close match, and then at the end he would be like, "Oh, I got to win," and then pull it out.
That was like during his heyday.
There's heyday, but like towards the end of career, look at like the 9th and 10th, like those moments.
But we don't know where Vagner is in his.
Oh, speaking of Buchecha, signed to the UFC. Keep moving on. Keep going.
You know my opinion. We don't know where Vagner is. I mean, the dude could compete for another 10 years.
Probably will.
Who knows? He's a dog. I love watching him. He's hilarious. He jokes around. He's scrappy. He's chippy, and he's ready to go. So it's going to be a good match. With that said, and my constant, I don't want to pick fights, and then I just go with who I feel is better. Coming off of a recent victory, I'm gonna go with Kit Dale. I want to go with it.
Vagner is Rachel's favorite grappler. Rachel loves watching Vagner compete. She's like, if Vagner's on, Rachel will watch that match with me. I see a very clear way for Kit Dale to do exactly what he did to Xande, who is on paper more credentialed than Vagner, been retired, not as active as Vagner, but the win over Xande will be on his record better than the win over Vagner if he's able to beat Vagner. And you just beat Xande.
Yes and no.
Okay.
When it comes to accolades and you beat somebody and then you beat somebody else, if you look at Xande, you're like, oh yeah, the more credentialed.
But the era
grappler.
in which Xande had those credentials is further away, whereas Vagner is literally your silver medalist this last year at ADCC.
This victory would solidify him as not in with the young guys, but the age
his
range
contemporaries.
Of his contemporaries. This would solidify him.
He's 39 and Wagner's 43.
He's 38, I think.
Okay. But very similar. Yeah, he says 38. So very similar in age to Vagner. 5 years younger.
5 years difference. But with his contemporaries, people again, Vagner, Xande, Boogie, or Gio. I know Gio's not in that same weight class, but same frame of time reference. And at one point, Vagner was lighter, and Kit Dale was lighter, but all of those guys coming. I remember seeing all of these guys coming up when I was starting at. I remember hearing about Vagner. I remember hearing about Gio and Boogie. I remember hearing about Glover and Bill Cooper. And, I remember watching Bill Cooper get disqualified from Worlds for not wearing underwear, and him taking him. Who did he go against? Oh my God.
Probably not relevant to this matchup.
No, it's not. But, that's me going off on a tangent on other jiu-jitsu stuff. But that will solidify him near the top of his contemporaries currently.
Yeah, as a current, I think
as a current competitor within a specific frame. You know, it's within the Masters division, because that's essentially what there is. They're trying to get people that are somewhat similar in
which
age.
I kind of like.
I appreciate it.
It's hey man, I do want to watch Vagner versus Mika again, but I'm saying it makes more sense to have more frequent matches for these guys. Do not put Lovato against Lovato's a bad example too. I'm trying to think of a guy that's not quite still at the peak.
Don't put, and let's remove the teammate aspect. Don't put Lovato against Victor Hugo.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good example.
Or don't put Lovato against Nick Rodriguez, right?
Yeah.
These are these younger guys. Lovato, again, is another person that had a condition. I don't know what's going on with that either, but he goes back to competing in Nogi. He looks really good for the most part. Don't throw him in there with monsters that are 10, 12,
15 years younger than him. I want to see him versus contemporaries and they're still out there doing it. Better example. So
you know what I mean.
I'm happy this match was made.
It's going to be an exciting one.
Man. I see the pathway for victory.
You can pick. Go ahead. Say Vagner. I know you want to say Vagner, and that's
see,
okay.
I want to say Wagner. But
Are you putting
see
money on this?
No. I
Okay,
see a
then it doesn't
clear
matter.
pathway for Dale to do what he just did to Sanji.
For sure.
But I think Wagner has much more fuck it in his game than Sanji has.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the problem with the matchup, specifically why Kit Dale was able to beat Sanji the way he did, is Sanji wanted to play it real close to the chest, real tactical, and Kit Dale was just like, I'm just going to push you and make it work and not make mistakes. Whereas Wagner, late in a match, I have a feeling will just go, fuck it. And he pulls it out more often than he doesn't.
Somebody's going to get slapped in the head with a hard collar tie.
Absolutely, and it'll probably be Kit Dale. So I'll circle back to this. I see a really good pathway for Kit Dale to beat. I would be sad to watch Wagner get beat by Kit Dale here. But moving on, should be a phenomenal main event.
Co-main event, which should also be a banger.
Yeah, we have the rematch of Adele Fornarino versus Jasmine Rocha. This one last took place at ADCC, I think in the quarterfinals. It wasn't a finals match. I'm blanking on exactly which one. I have it in notes here somewhere. Semifinals. So yeah, because they both medaled. Semifinals.
It was in 2022 then if they had the under 55 that just happened. This past one.
Yeah. Because Rocha won trials.
I think earlier you said
22.
22.
Yeah, no. Because I forgot. For some reason in my head, this keeps happening. I keep thinking that Adele and Fionn had a match at CGI 2, and I keep forgetting it was Adele and Mackenzie Dern. Sorry, it was Fionn and Mackenzie Dern. That's what I keep forgetting it happened, and then the rematch happened at the Fight Pass Invitational, and now I keep conflating those two. This on paper is an easy pick. It's, do you think that Jasmine has made the improvements in her game to be able to beat Adele Fornarino, or has Adele Fornarino been inactive enough, or, has her game kind of slipped enough in the last 2 years since they had this matchup, a year since they had this matchup to get beat by Jasmine? I think the answer is no. We just saw Adele versus Fionn, who beat her before, look really good, it was a meh match, I think. But it was a very close match with who we all think is the best no-gi grappler in the world, Fionn Davies. Adele went toe-to-toe with her. We saw Fionn versus Jasmine a little while ago when Jasmine was a little less experienced, didn't quite have the level of performance that she has recently, lose to Fionn pretty handedly. Adele lost to Fionn at ADCC prior pretty cleanly, but had a very close match. I think that on paper, this is an easy pick for Adele. Now, does Adele submit Jasmine Rocha like she did at ADCC? I don't know.
Here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Is the weight difference going to play a factor into it? Because they're doing this at 135.
Yeah, and I think Adele is bigger now. She's not like that much bigger, but we saw her versus Fionn. It was like, okay, Fionn's definitely
we saw her
bigger.
against Tubby Aliquin in February of 2024, but we saw her, and
but I think that Adele in the last year and a half is bigger. Like, I do not think she is as small as she was, even when she won ADCC. I think she's bigger than that now. She won,
but that's
absolute,
under 55, and then won
correct.
Absolute. Yes, she's got the skills.
Absolutely
For
has
sure.
the skills. I just think that, she submitted Tubby in like 20 seconds or something.
23.
When her Who's Number One debut last year. I just think the styles for Jasmine haven't changed that much. Like, she's pretty aggressive. I think she's more skilled than she was last year, but I think that she's probably not going to be able to pass Fornarino's guard. If Adele gets her in the guard, which is where she wants to play from probably, because it's who's number one, she's going to pull. You're going to play into it. You're going to get into the guard. Jasmine's going to try to get real aggressive and real physical with her. I don't really think that's going to bother Adele. This match reminds me a lot of like every Andy Varela match. Because really, like, Andy Varela is very hard to beat, but if you are an elite guy that is not bothered by the level of physicality and pressure that he puts on you, You can catch him in holes and you can beat him. And he's beatable, and there's like a pathway to beating Varela. But the minute you give Varela too much respect in his game, he runs you over. Jasmine, we see her do that, especially like in early rounds and trials. We see Jasmine play that same game where it's like if you give her too much respect, if you let her get front running on you, let her get in your face, and you let that start to kind of push your game down, she front runs you over and blows you out of the water. She's not going to be able to do that with Adele. Like, Adele has had too many high-level matches versus too many high-level people, and this is a rematch that we saw Adele beat her in prior. I just don't think that the dynamics or the styles of the matchup, Rocha's not going to come in with a significantly different game plan, because that's just really not like, Jasmine Rocha doesn't typically change her game plan that much match to match. Most grapplers don't. Most grapplers can't, because what gets you to that world championship level is a level of like consistency in game and how you play. And if suddenly now you're trying to play out of game versus another world championship person, you're going to get blown out of the water, because you're not in your best game versus someone's best game. So I think Adele takes this again. I wouldn't be surprised to see Adele submit Jasmine, because Adele is a really good submission threat. But I think that Jasmine has made the improvements and is like a little more patient now than she was even a year ago. And I think that the opportunities are going to be a little bit fewer. I think Adele, on the counter end of that, is going to know that, like, Jasmine Rocha is going to be more patient now. Is going to, like, not necessarily overextend, because, hey, I couldn't beat her the first time. I now know that strategy is not going to work. I need to be more patient. I got submitted for overextending in the first match. I now need to make sure that doesn't happen again, so she's probably going to be more defensively sound, play a little close to the chest, and Adele is going to have to game plan around that. It's Adele's to lose, I think.
I agree. I mean, we saw with the rematch with Fionn Davies that Jasmine, was putting on pressure, but once Fionn was on her back, it was like it was over.
Yeah.
She didn't have
She very much
anything.
got stuck there.
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like Adele getting to that same position, it might be the same situation. But again, like you're putting on more weight, so it's a little bit different. It could be anything, who knows. And again, yes, like Jasmine is very Varela-esque, where she's like, I'm going to just try to run you over, and you have to stop it, or she does just that. So it'll be an interesting like clash of styles and how Jasmine approaches it. But I am still going to pick Adele to take the victory.
You think by sub?
Yes.
I kind of think armbar again. The way that Jasmine plays out kind of in front of her, she tends to want to push you over and push you down and pass with her hands in front. And Adele wants to take arms off of that with the overhook, with the armbar, with the slide armbars, like with a bunch of different armbars that she has and setups she has from the close guard. I think, unfortunately, the way that Jasmine likes to push you down and pass will give Adele opportunities to shoot for the arms. And I think that Adele is good enough that she will be able to get one.
Yeah.
So, moving on to another banger of a match. I am really excited about this one. Roberto Jimenez versus Ryan Atkin. I still can't pronounce the man's last name. This is a matchup that I think 2 years ago, I wouldn't have been as interested in. It'd been a fun match on the card. It would have been kind of neat. Nowadays, with how Roberto looked, like Roberto Jimenez at AIGA just beat Giancarlo Bodoni pretty soundly. And again, we talk about Bodoni, specifically ADCC Bodoni versus not ADCC. Like
Bodoni.
different, like
Different people.
Kind of Duarte, ADCC, like different dudes. And you can't be prepped, and this is why. You can't be prepped as an athlete year-round, all time for every competition. And you make your money as a pro athlete by getting out there and competing. You're going to have like cycles of either, training or of drugs that keep
Or
you
both.
in certain shapes throughout the year. And you're usually not going to blast cycles, or you're not going to stay at peak form the entire year because your body physically can't do that.
We've talked about it before, especially like after Bodoni's first win at ADCC, and then he had like these performances where you were like, "What? What are you doing?"
Where's the ADCC guy? You know,
Right.
Oh, okay.
And then what happened again at the following ADCC? Again,
Smashed
you saw
it.
like lights out. And then what's happening again?
Yep.
Like,
He is a little bit inconsistent outside of ADCC. And then
I mean,
ADCC
and if
comes and it's like,
if you're gonna be that guy, if you're the ADCC guy where you just keep going and like everywhere else you're like you're lukewarm, but you come into ADCC
I think
and you
lukewarm
just,
is maybe not the best analogy for
it's
Bodoni.
not. I mean, it's not like you see him lose like once every 5 or 6 cards that he's on, right? That's not being lukewarm. But I was just turn a phrase, whatever. But if the dude is lights out at ADCC like constantly from 2022 for the next 10 years, I'm not
We're
gonna shit on him
gonna
for
all
it.
be real quiet. Hey man, when the chips are down in the big tournament, dude wins it.
And that's
Yeah.
the big tournament. But like, are we going to see ADCC Bodoni at CJI 2? Or are we
Yeah.
going to see the
Off-season.
Bodoni where he's like, he can be hot or cold?
So I bring this up to go not to qualify Roberto Jimenez's recent win, but not a lot of guys are doing that to Bodoni.
No.
Roberto Jimenez 2 years ago sure as
not doing this.
hell not doing that to Bodoni.
No.
But again, just with context, we want to give him the context for like he didn't do it to Bodoni at ADCC.
You guys all know we rant.
Still was able to do it to Bodoni at AIGA, and that is a huge feather. And also, the way that Roberto Jimenez has changed his game over the last couple of years has
just
been
shifting.
impressive. He's gotten way bigger. He went from like a 45er to like a 205er.
Yeah, that's when he was like a kid.
Okay, sorry. When we started covering him, he was my size still.
I
Get outta
remember
here.
watching him at like the,
Blue belt and purple belt at Third Coast.
was it? No, it wasn't Third Coast. It was the Royal Jiu-Jitsu thing.
Yeah,
And
Royal back in the day.
He won the blue belt thing like after Worlds, and then he beat all the purple belts, and then he lost to the brown belt. But
Royal Jiu-Jitsu used to be a thing that Joel Tudor used to run. I wish they would still run it. It was basically the same. It was the weekend after Worlds because everyone's still in town in LA from Worlds. And what it would take is a bunch of like the top guys across all of the weight classes and all of the belts. And they would do like inner belt matches between guys that were like won Worlds or recently promoted. It was this weird, like super cool event.
you can find it online.
Yeah, it was great. We covered it. It was like an every other year event.
I don't know if we covered that one.
Yeah, we did. We covered 1 or 2 Royals back in the
I
day.
don't think we covered the one where Roberto won it.
think we did.
Maybe we did. I don't know. But you know who was a brown belt? Was it what? No, was it Muhammad Ali? No. He used to be GF team and he just left and he went somewhere else. I'm blanking on it right now.
Used to be GF Gutenberg, bro.
I think it was Gutenberg,
Yeah.
and he was like a brown belt.
Yeah.
And it was Gutenberg that finally beat
Jimenez,
Roberto
yes.
as a blue belt, but it took
Gutenberg Perdetta as a brown belt world champion
Yeah.
to do it. It was a really cool event. You should go back and watch it. But it would also they would mix the belts and the weights, and so you got matchups that you would like never see in the IBJJF sphere. Back then, when guys used to not have inner belt matches, you would get it. It was a cool event. Jimenez has been a monster. But even since then, going up in weight to like 205 and above.
He's found his groove. He's looking really good. You know, again, talking about
Best-
2 years ago, we'd be like, oh, this guy knows leg locks. Roberto's going to lose.
Yeah.
That is not the case anymore. Like he's
And we say
been
that
on
because
his-
Ryan Aiken is a pretty dope leg locker.
Yeah, and Aiken is a consistent competitor that is always just beating everybody. Oh, you're like, oh, here's this thing where he's like, here's doing this. You know, he beat Lucas Lira. He beat Pedro Mourinho. Won PGF. Beat Oliver Taza. He's beaten
Guys that I did not think
you were like,
he would
who's
beat.
this guy? And then here he comes again, just smashing.
Ryan
dudes.
Aiken is a guy that I picked against for a while. I was like, I do it. And then he wins like EBI. He wins combat jiu-jitsu. He wins combat jiu-jitsu again. He wins PGF. You're like, all right, well, Ryan Aiken is a guy that I have to stop picking against. That is partially why I'm so excited about this matchup, is because I think we're getting Ryan Aiken is at a peak in his career. I mean, coming off of that win for PGF, like he looked amazing in the last really 2 PGF seasons. Like he was the standout guy in those seasons against like some really good people. He has a style that works really well for PGF. PGF has a very similar-ish kind of format to Who's Number One, where it's like you're going out there and you're trying to submit, and then you're winning based on like if you can submit the guy. Ryan Aiken is a notorious, because he does all the EBI events that are like you have to submit the guy or you go to overtime. He's very good in overtime. Less of his wins than I thought were overtime wins. He has a lot of sub wins impressively in regulation versus good guys. Jimenez used to have these big holes in his game that was like leg locks, and like he would occasionally just have like a weird performance where you're like, why did he do that? We haven't,
Mentally, yeah.
Yeah, we had like a mental lapse performance. Since going to Unity, that doesn't happen.
He's in his groove.
Doesn't
like,
have mental lapse performances. He's just on consistently, and he is the best back taker in the world.
I mean, we saw him at Gi Worlds.
Yeah.
Against Wardzinski.
Yeah.
Banger. Like the kid's really cooking now, and it's like all of the hype that he originally had, and then people were like,
people kind of wrote him off because he had those weird matches.
He had his weird matches.
He's
a young kid too.
Yeah.
And he's finally like really getting into this really good groove, and it's like, all right, let's do. You know, flying. When we talked about him versus Elder Cruz, and we were like, this is not going to be a good match.
We talked about it's going to probably be a slower, boring match.
It's going to be a Roberto Jimenez Elder Cruz match where it was like, and
he flying subs
he was
in.
like, I'm going to armbar you right now. And it was just like, now it was easy before to be like, oh, this guy knows these things, he's going to beat him. This is a very compelling match. We're going to see them just like go at it. They're going to keep a pace because they both can.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be like,
and they both look for subs.
It's going to be who makes the mistake big enough to where the other person's like, got it.
And that's my question is like, Ryan Aiken has always impressed me because he overextends less than you would expect for a guy that is as submission hungry as he is. Roberto Jimenez will overextend, but impress me on the other end because you can't catch him. And it's like, hey man, like if you get Jimenez, he is incredibly hard to put away. Like he will J. Rodriguez you.
But he'll also injure himself.
He will also injure himself. Mika Gaval, like he is incredibly hard. You have to be of high pedigree to be able to put Jimenez away. And you got to squeeze for a while on whatever you got to put him away. That's kind of why I'm excited, because Ryan Aiken, I think, has the tools to be able to put Jimenez away. But can he stop Jimenez from being able to just push a pace and like, cool, Jimenez teleported to your back because he's the best back taker in the world. But again, Ryan Aiken, with all the EBI overtime experience, like, is kind of a monster to put away on the back. Like, it is a style matchup that I would kind of be surprised if either one submits the other, because they both have like so much experience in those like defensive areas, but also both guys have the tools to be, oh, you beat him. I'm like, I would be surprised and at the same time not be surprised if someone gets subbed because of both the tool sets that both guys have. So it'll be super exciting. Josh, anything else on that?
No.
Next match, we have Johnny Grippo versus late-ish replacement, Max Hansen. Grippo's getting a little older. He's 33. He's been a black belt for 12, 13 years at this point. Max Hansen is a newer black belt, a couple of years, I think. I think he got his black belt, I think 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. Gianni is historically, like in IBJJF Nogi,
Gianni is the old guy in the division right now with all of the young guys at 66, which is weird saying. To me anyway, I'm just like, I remember hearing about him as like a little kid, this little prodigy at Henzo's, and then moving over to Alliance. But with Marcelo, This is another interesting one where you're like, how's it going to play out? And not only which Gianni are we going to see, which Max Hansen are we going to see?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like Gianni can be lights out, as can Max Hansen, but we've also seen Gianni where it's just like, well, how did that happen?
At UFC Invitational, it was like, it was kind of like not a great performance for you. Or occasionally, like especially in the gi and worlds, it's like occasionally he'll drop a match, or like we see him sometimes have inconsistent performances, and guys that you wouldn't expect to be able to beat Gianni Grippo are able to beat him. And then you'll see him go and win, like, what is he, like 6 or something time IBJJF no-gi pans champion? Or
but that's through a lot of like different things. That's through the colored belts as well.
No, I'm saying like at black belt. I think there was like a bunch of years in a row he just consistently wins no-gi pans. He just constantly wins no-gi. And I don't have the record up here now, but has a bunch of no-gi pans wins, has a bunch of no-gi worlds wins at IBJJF, wins all through the belts in the gi except for the black belt one in the gi. Like Grippo is just always a force, always in the way of anyone in his division.
For sure.
But you can get past him. Max Hansen is another guy that he was the champion of like last year or 2 years ago. Everything else, like in 2023, he was like the finishers champion, the Midwest finishers champion, the Zapatero champion. He was just the champion of every other, we called him the regional champion. If there was a regional belt with money on the line, Max Hansen was going to be there from 155 to 185 and probably be your champion. And then he would get these invitations to like who's number one or a bigger event, and he just wouldn't perform. And it's happened a couple of times with Max Hansen where he will just get up. He'll finally get another big invite to like a who's number one. I forget, this happened 2 or 3 times. And then he just won't be able to perform the way he does in these other tournaments. Even if these other tournaments have really, really top level guys that you would like, I'm not sure Max Hansen can beat him. It comes down to me of the two. If we get a game Gianni Grippo that was preparing for Owen Jones, and Owen Jones is that guy right now, man. Like every time I see Owen Jones, it's like, oh, this is the next killer at 66. He's super young, and he's going to be a problem for the next 10 years for everyone. The Grippo that was preparing for that match comes to it's Max Hansen. Again, Max Hansen, like super active competitor. Grippo has the tools to beat Max Hansen. If Grippo is not on his A game and Max Hansen is on his A game, Max Hansen has the tools to beat Gianni Grippo. That's sort of where this sits. It's sort of whatever guy shows up that day is going to take it. I want to lean Gianni Grippo, especially if he was preparing for Owen Jones, because he knows like how much of a tough matchup Owen Jones is going to be. In the legs, in the back, in the armbar game.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and Owen Jones now can like wrestle. He's like more powerful wrestler. He can pull, but he also like has shown more of his wrestling recently. Like, oh, you can do more of these things now that were kind of in question a little bit before on your earlier trials runs and ADCC runs. Like Owen Jones is very rapidly rounding out his skill set in a way that I think Gianni Grippo is going to be really like gunned for. Hansen is much more of a known quantity. You know what Hansen brings to the table. You know what you're sort of looking for, where he's going to be a problem. And I think for a guy like Grippo that has all the competition experience, Max Hansen isn't as much of like not necessarily a powerhouse, but Max Hansen's I think going to be stronger than Owen Jones, but not as quick and not as just like willing and able to jump on something from afar and take it home. And I think that style works better for Gianni Grippo of like Hansen will play a little more tactically, a little more like technically in these areas at a slower speed that will be more jiu-jitsu-y, that I think favors the veteran ability of Gianni Grippo versus Owen Jones, who is just going to go, I'm going to throw this weird armbar because it's here and I can get it.
Fair enough. But again, like look where Hansen's coming from under Dante, which they're,
Pedigo.
with Pedigo.
Yeah.
So Gianni has an extensive career that you can look on. And even in the past, like 2 years, it's like, oh, okay, these are things that he's doing, that he's been focusing on a lot, doing a whole lot of things. And it's like, okay, where do we get out of these positions? So it's, again, how prepared is Max Hansen for Gianni Grippo
Right.
in the short amount of time? Like, how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
Again, it's a compelling match. My gut says to go with Grippo, like with the extensive amount of experience that he has in black belt alone. That's where my mind is leading at the moment.
So I'm the same thing. Next bout, we got Lucas Lira versus Sean Yadamarco. Middleweight bout for this one. I think this is a rematch for these two guys. I think they met. So I pulled up here some information that we got. I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but it looks like they do have a previous matchup back in 2023, a event called Blue Collar. Lucas Lira, again, if that is true, then like Lira took this. I think Lira is again
Lira's going down in weight.
in weight. How about
You were like, oh, is he going down? It's like that's a bold call already. Yeah, it's at middleweight, so he normally competes at 205.
Yeah.
So
Lira is that big. I always want to make Lira smaller. I don't know why I always think he's a smaller guy, but he's not.
Michael Lira, maybe you know, same
Lucas
name,
Lira and Michael Lira. Yeah, I don't.
where you're just like, oh, Michael Lira was a lightweight.
Maybe that's what I'm doing. I just
Possibly.
can't get past the last name. Lucas Lira's been really active. We've talked about him more and more recently, doing a lot of the ADCCs down in Florida and Orlando and Dallas, like that area. Sean Yadamarco, we see him primarily more on like the finisher circuit and
East Coast stuff.
yeah, a lot of like East Coast events. I think I've commentated a match of his prior, but like Jersey area, on stuff that like Josh and I work from, like Emerald City and stuff. So I do go with the rematch. I think that Lucas Lira overall has a stronger competition record in bigger events, especially recently. We've seen Lucas Lira like every other month or every month on either Fight Pass Invitational or Who's Number One or
even popping up in the ADCC Opens.
yeah, all the time at the ADCC Opens, doing really well. I think that this is more of a gut pick for me. I just think a gut pick. I like the way that Lira pressure passes versus Yadamarco, because I think Yadamarco is like he's tall. I think that Yadamarco is willing to like play from the guard, try to throw triangles off that, but I think Lucas Lira, he is a really aggressive forward heavy pressure passer over guards, and I think that Yadamarco will play a guard with him that he will be able to figure out and get past. And then I think he will be able to stay past it. Right? If Yadamarco can recover the guard, get past it again. That's sort of my guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to like argue at those points. Again, Yadamarco coming up through like the qualifying bracket for it, winning at the American Nationals, whereas again, Lira's a bit more, consistently on it with other larger competitions, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But also, how is Lira going to feel at 185?
I don't know.
Is that change in weight class going to do something to him? Like,
yeah, how does the cut?
how does the cut affect him?
I feel like we've seen less guys recently in the last couple of years in jiu-jitsu have bad weight cuts, other than like Josh Cisneros said, Fight Pass Invitational, or whatever whatever the UFC event,
UFC BJJ thing.
Road to BJJ, Road to the Title event. I just feel like guys bounce up in weight or down in weight in jiu-jitsu, and they tend to be fine, especially for super fights.
Yeah,
recently, it
you
seems
normally
like
have like more time to be like, oh, I have this. I'm specifically doing this. I'm going to make the weight.
But it is an interesting curiosity of like, oh, maybe it's a 20-pound weight difference from 85 to 205. Like, it is very possible that we could see you could get diminished here. Next matchup we have is heavyweight bout Roosevelt Souza versus Igor Tanabe, the Fat Ninja.
Yes, that guy.
That's why I was looking at him in Wawa and I was like, I know this name. We haven't talked about Tanabe in
It's been a minute because he was
couple of
doing
years.
like MMA and stuff.
Oh yeah, he fought on the
Ryzen?
no. The
Something else?
memorial card with the moat that Melvin Manhoof was in for what event was that called?
Was that for Inoki?
Yes, he fought in that event, and I was like, "Fuck, Igor Tanabe." Igor Tanabe, go back and watch him in. He had like 3 matches with Heisam Rita back when they were still colored belts. When Tanabe was like a purple belt and Rita was a brown belt.
They had one, I think, at black belt, the most recent one, where
did.
he beat him pretty handily.
Igor Tanabe is really good. We haven't seen him in a minute. He's been pursuing MMA, juvenile champion. He's out of Japan, but he's a dual. I think he's Brazilian and Japanese. I think he's dual heritage or dual citizenship. I don't know what the term here is, but primarily in like Japanese events. Roosevelt Souza has looked like a monster.
Just won Worlds.
Yeah. This is Roosevelt Souza's to lose, but Igor Tanabe, he was. I remember Igor Tanabe mostly being a mix of gi and no gi. He was one of those guys that would do both.
He also has, like, for a heavier guy, he does a lot of like inversions, a lot of different stuff that you wouldn't expect somebody of his size to do.
He's called the Fat Ninja for a reason.
Yeah.
Igor the Fat Ninja Tanabe. This is a simple. Roosevelt Souza has a more recent, larger win in a bigger tournament than Igor Tanabe has, because we just haven't seen Tanabe in about 2 years.
2 or 3 years, yeah.
Really, on a major event.
He's been doing mostly MMA stuff,
and he's been looking pretty good in MMA. I haven't watched this fight. I haven't watched him fight in probably a year or two. I'm not sure if he's still fighting, but I just haven't seen him. It should be an interesting matchup. This is Roosevelt Souza's to lose, but it is cool to have Igor Tanabe on who's number one, because he's a guy and he brings a style. Unless it's one of those Heisam Rita matches that was not good. That is typically pretty fun and interesting, and I've liked him. It's been fun to watch him. He was on Unrivaled 2. That was a fun one. That's when he beat Jacob Couch.
Yes.
That was an event in Japan. That was like 2023. That was like, okay, I'm curious how Couch is, because Couch was on the rise there as well. And then Tanabe beats him. It's like, wow, Tanabe's still really, really good. He's really fun.
It'll be interesting to see like what he brings and how he stops that forward motion of Souza.
Yeah, I'm curious how the wrestling will be now that Tanabe has been spending so much time in MMA. If Souza going to struggle with Tanabe's wrestling a little more, because I've been pretty happy with what Souza's wrestling, like the snap down game, and just really he counter pushes you out and then takes you down off of it. He's real quick for a big guy. Tanabe also is real quick for a big guy, but is not as like Roosevelt Souza can function in longer bursts. Tanabe is like real quick and crafty in bursts, but he's never struck me as like a powerhouse in the same way.
He picks and chooses in movements.
Yeah. So I'm going to pick Roosevelt Souza here, but that's mainly for recency bias. That's completely for recency bias, because I haven't seen Tanabe in a minute here. So that's most of the main card. We have a couple other matches to talk about here. We have Michael Sains versus Nathan Chung, who is a guy's name that I just continue to butcher, Josh, after years. Always do. Always have. What are you looking for, Josh?
Oh, I was just trying to move the one to bring up just the list, not what we have. The website that we're using that had the card breakdown. There we go. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome. Welterweight bout between those two guys. That should be fun. I don't have a ton on much more of them.
Like,
yeah, him and his brother.
You're gonna get a fast-paced match, and more so, Natan is going to have to keep up with that pace. And if he can, or he shuts the pace down and just starts making those incremental adjustments and moving forward, that's his pathway to victory.
Yeah,
my opinion.
Natan is the far more credentialed guy here. I forget, he's won a lot of stuff. Next one, we got Jake Driscoll versus JZ Cavalcante.
This is now onto the undercard.
Yeah, we're in the undercard here. I'm going to run through it real quick. Josh, you want to you have any thoughts on that one, or you want to move?
It's just interesting that Jay-Z's still competing all these years later.
Yeah, I pulled this record today, and I was like, oh yeah, he was the K1 Heroes champion in 2006 and 7. Like, oh yeah, I forgot. That
was right around when I started jiu-jitsu.
Still doing it. Yeah. And he like retired from MMA and kickboxing, and then has just done jiu-jitsu the last like 10 years.
I just always remember him as like a bald dude, and every time I see him and he has hair, I'm like,
yeah,
what's going
same thing.
on?
It's like it threw me off. I was like, oh, that's fucking weird. Next one we have Jocelyn Monalina versus Amy Grande. I think the last 3 matches here are children's matches or youth matches. We have Linus von Schenrick versus Andre Porfirio.
Andre Porfirio isn't a kid.
Oh. What am I looking at?
I don't know.
I'm just lost in the sauce, Josh. Okay, yeah. And then...
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got all that. See? The Molina is a kid.
Molina's a kid. Okay.
Right. I don't think Porfirio is, though. See, it's all
26.
out of order.
Yeah. I have things out of order here. Again, it should be fun. We're into the lower belt matches.
Lower belt
We're in
and
youth.
like undercard stuff that they push out on YouTube where they're like, here, get this, and then when you're ready, switch over to Flograppling to watch the whole entire
Those
card.
matches are fun, but they're super hard for me to pick because a lot of times the young guys that aren't, beating the world class black belts, there is so much development that happens month to month to month to month to month. Even if it's 2 months later, oh yeah, he won this, 6 months ago. Okay, what does it look like now?
Yeah, exactly.
Entirely different when any guy under like 22, you can have those like weird big jumps in like, oh, you're a different dude. You're a different woman completely than
From 3
you
weeks
were
ago.
6 months ago competing. Like it's a different world. So they're really hard to pick. Last one, we have a lightweight match. Mateus Jimenez versus Tristan Sains. So should be fun. These two who's number one cards are always fun. The following day, we have the BJJ Stars card that is taking place. So we previewed that in more depth last week. Real quick here, we didn't actually go through the super fights. We have a couple of super fights on it, and I'm not going to be able to pull it up probably.
There's a full card right there.
Full card not in Portuguese.
Hey.
Let's see. And then we have...
There you go.
I thought we had Roberto Jimenez here. I was like, that's crazy. We have Leo Souza versus Miriam McQueen. Mayhem, I think is what they called him last time. Mayhem McQueen.
Who knows what they're going to say. It's
Pablo Oliveira, Mateus Ruz, and Luis Marquez versus Sergio Rios.
You missed this one.
Oh, Helena Crevar versus Talitha Silva and Ana Rodriguez versus Julia Alves. Thank you for the championship matches. Yeah. I just looked past those. I am curious now that Helena is with one.
Again, are they going to continue to let her compete more freely? Here's the other thing. Is one still on Amazon? I feel like they're not really pushing that anymore. Are they still on it?
I think they are. Because I know they are. Because I watched like 2 weeks ago, I watched Friday Night Fights or Friday morning fights. Because they do those Muay Thai cards.
Yeah, but they're
Friday
always
morning.
on YouTube as well.
Oh, did I watch it on YouTube? I might have watched it on YouTube, actually. Whatever, man. I love Friday morning kicking up on the second screen at my office and like doing my job and then like Muay Thai. And
People
doing my job and
punching
Muay Thai.
each other, yeah.
Dude, Muay Thai, the one Muay Thai cards are so good. I was texting the chat. They had 2 guys on the card. It was like the Iron Warrior versus like the last. It was like 2 like super epic fight nicknames. And I was like, dude, we need to step up with the nicknames because these 2 guys.
We need to not step up with any nicknames. You can keep the awful jiu-jitsu nicknames out of jiu-jitsu.
I like Bushesha.
That's fine. That's like a cultural thing. Cool, great.
I like Shoeface.
But when you have
Pato.
Okay, cool, great. But when you
the
have
giraffe for Heisen Rita.
people, when you have people that are just giving themselves these awful nicknames.
Well, yeah, that's reasonable.
Like
Beaston 28.5. What was his name? I like Eric your boy Anders. I love that nickname every time because he just wanted to. He wanted to get Bruce Buffer to say your boy. He wanted to get Bruce Buffer to say your boy, and so he's like nickname your boy, and he's Eric your boy Anders, and I love it every time. So,
yeah, it's like
both events are happening this next weekend. It is late in the evening. It's almost midnight right now for us.
Is it? Holy
yeah,
moly!
It's late. So, Josh, any kind of closing thoughts on the Who's Number One card?
No, I'm excited to watch it.
Should be a lot of fun. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, the co-host, Josh. And we have the Grappling Grind. Say that not what it is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
Let us know.
reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.